Hi, everyone. I am Angela Crisp-Sears, Coordinator of Student Learning on the Chatham campus. I'll see if Talia.
Hi, I'm Talia Friday. I'm the Coordinator for Academic Assistance on the Lee campus.
And we have some information to share with you today about the services that we offer on all three campuses. And with the caveat that these services are offered both in person at the moment and virtually. We are continuing, obviously last year all of our services were provided virtually, and even though we are transitioning and moving back to in-person and having more in-person classes and more in-person interaction with students, we will maintain the virtual services. We found last year that students who never felt that they could take advantage of the in-person services that we offered because of their work schedule, their family schedule, their life schedule, really appreciated the virtual access that we created out of necessity. So we will definitely be continuing those virtual services, not just in response to COVID, but in response to the student needs that we heard. And I'm going to share a screen. I haven't done this since my spring class ended, so I'm having to remember how to do all of this. Sorry, it's taking so long.
Let me know if you have any trouble with it. There we go.
There we go. All right. So this is who we are, the Academic Assistance Center. Centers, plural. As Erin said, we are on all three campuses. And we provide a lot of services. Tutoring is, I think, what we are known for. We provide tutoring for all curriculum subjects. We work hard to get together a staff of peer tutors and community tutors, peer tutors currently enrolled students, and then community tutors, those who have graduated, who are in the community and still want to work with students. And then we also have what I'm calling, I don't know if Talia's picked up on this or not, but called near peer tutors. These are students who have just graduated and they completed their work at Central Carolina. They may be attending a four-year institution close by, or maybe attending a four-year institution a little more distant, but because most classes or so many classes are virtual, they may still be in the community, in the three-county service area, and can still work as a tutor, or maybe even farther away and can provide virtual tutoring. Talia, anything you want to say about our tutoring services?
I just want to put in a shameless plug right now. If at some point, you have students that you say, hey, they are doing great in class, feel free to recommend them because we are always looking for new tutors and always hiring.
Always hiring. And our peer tutors, the tutors who work for us and tutor for us who are currently enrolled students, they come from you, right? Faculty refer students, students who are outstanding in the classroom, not just mastering the curriculum and mastering the material, but really exhibited leadership in the classroom. Those are the students that we're looking for to work as peer tutors. So we provide the tutoring in several different ways, scheduled one-to-one appointments. Students request a tutor, they provide their availability, we match them with a tutor in that subject area whose availability matches. So those are one-to-one meetings. Again, we're planning those to be in person with physical distance and proper masking for safety protocols. And we will also continue the virtual one-to-one appointments through Blackboard Collaborate, kind of like we're doing right now. Those are the scheduled appointments. We also have drop-in tutoring options specifically for the STEM curriculum. We have a STEM lab that is open, and I'm going to let Talia talk about that because she is the most directly supervising the STEM lab.
So the STEM lab is actually available generally from about 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. and it's already staffed. It's a drop-in service, as she mentioned. You know, we try to have tutors already on staff who are available to answer questions about any of the STEM courses, you know, any math questions or sciences, so biology, chemistry, physics, etc. Any of those questions. There is a link that will be available once classes start where students can just click on it and be connected as we are right now in a collaborate session, or we plan on trying to have a couple of tutors back in the office for the STEM lab. Pretty much, you know, same as she said, for one-on-ones, proper safety protocols in place, masking and distancing.
Our physical space, if you come and tour, when you come to campus and tour the campus or are familiar with the campus, you know that our physical spaces, academic assistance centers, offer spaces for students to work on group projects or just a quiet study space. We like to say on the Chatham campus that our academic assistance center is a great learning environment for a student who's looking for a little more activity and a little more noise than the library, but not as much activity and not as much noise as the student center. We're kind of somewhere in the medium for students who need something going on around them while they're doing their homework. And we also have spaces in our physical space for group projects and for study groups to meet. We heard from students who also wanted that available virtually when classes were 100% online. So for students who may be working on a group project outside of a class, whether that's a collaborate virtual class or distance class, or just a seated class, but the students in a group can't find a time to physically be together, we provide collaborate sessions. We can set up collaborate sessions for study groups that are not necessarily led by a tutor, or work groups for student groups who are working on group projects for assignments. So we can provide that space in real life, but we can also provide that virtual and collaborate breakout sessions. So those tutoring by appointment is especially useful for, as you can imagine, the STEM subjects, but we also provide tutors for history, for humanities, English, even for English, although most of the students who are taking an English course use the Writing and Reading Center rather than requesting one-on-one tutoring. They certainly can request one-to-one tutoring, and we are happy to match them with a tutor. But the Writing and Reading Center is the main resource that we provide for English students. So there's a Writing and Reading Center on each campus. It's part of the Academic Assistance Center. Our Writing and Reading Center are staffed by community writing coaches, so not peers, not peer tutors, but community writing coaches, part-time employees. And all writing faculty also spend some hours each week in the Writing and Reading Center, meeting with students and reviewing papers, working with students on writing assignments. There are a couple of ways that students can access the services of the Writing and Reading Center. They can make appointments to meet in person or virtually with writing coaches. They can drop in, just like the STEM lab, they can drop into virtual hours to meet with a writing coach, or they can submit work to be reviewed through the online writing lab or the OWL. That's a little bit different. All of the support that we've talked about so far is synchronous, right? The student is working in real time with a live person, whether in person or virtually. The online writing lab is asynchronous. The students submit the paper through a portal that we'll share in just a minute, and then writing coaches have 48 hours. Usually it's less time than that, except in the really busiest times of the semester. But within 48 hours, writing coaches review the paper and then send feedback to the student.
This doesn't include weekends or holidays, so 48 business hours.
Right. Yeah, they're not, as much as our writing coaches are dedicated to their craft and to their student, they're not working on weekends or holidays. So. We do provide a slightly different level of tutoring for some courses, gateway courses in English and math, and that is supplemental instruction. This is a program that we coordinate and present with our colleagues in TRIO Student Support Services. Supplemental instructors are current students, so a peer tutoring system, and these supplemental instructors are in the class that with the student, with the instructor for the class time, and then provide a targeted tutoring or supplemental instruction session outside of the regular class time. We have had a lot of success with math, especially supplemental instructors in Math 171 really stands out. English 111 really stands out as having very successful supplemental instruction programs. And that's a little bit more involved on the faculty side. The faculty work very closely with the supplemental instructor. Kind of thinking of it as a TA, a teaching assistant, except there's no grading involved. The supplemental instructor does not grade or review work by currently enrolled students. But the supplemental instructor is in every class session, so they really get to know the students. The students are comfortable. They see them in class every time the class meets. The supplemental instructor, because they're sitting there in the class, they know exactly what's being covered in each class session, where the faculty is in the syllabus, and then the supplemental instructor meets on a regular basis with the instructor to understand and learn from the instructor exactly what needs to be addressed with extra attention and time and detail in the supplemental instruction sessions.
I just want to add that each of these services that we are telling you about today, they are free for students. So while we do pay those that work for academic assistance as far as tutoring, there is no charge for any of the students to get this kind of assistance.
And I think, again, this is just a very brief overview. The other thing that the Academic Assistance Center provides is, and I believe Megan Sherman has already spoken to you today, but we provide proctoring. We proctor approved accommodated testing. So this is not just anyone who thinks that they should have accommodated testing. We only provide accommodating testing facilities for students who have met with Megan Sherman, whose accommodations have been approved by her office, and then they work with the faculty to understand the accommodations, and then we make sure those conditions are in place for the testing. Some common accommodated testing that we provide are distraction-reduced testing and extended time. Faculty have only a certain amount of time in a classroom before they have to leave and another class moves in. So if a student's extended time for a test goes beyond the class time, then they can test in our facility and they won't need to be moved out, if that makes any sense. And then we do have small, quiet testing spaces that allow for distraction-reduced testing. Again, at this point, the only test proctoring that we are providing in the Academic Assistance Center are for those Student Accessibility Service approved accommodating testing. At some point, as conditions and safety protocols are changed and hopefully conditions improve, we will be able to return to proctoring other sorts of tests like makeup tests or late tests or distance education tests if they move off of the Blackboard testing format. But right now, the only tests that we are proctoring in person are those that are approved by Student Accessibility Services.
Angela, I had a question. For if we have a student who needs to use your your proctoring, do we need to set that up in advance, like at the beginning of the semester, give you a testing schedule and all that, or how does that work?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. So the first step for students who need accommodated testing, the first step is that they're identified by Megan Sherman, that they go through her process. Megan contacts us. She sends paperwork to all of the instructors that the student has classes with, and she also sends that notification to the Academic Assistance Center on the campus that the student's based. Yes, we very much appreciate advanced notice of when those tests are happening. So if you have a student who receives accommodated testing, you have received that notification from Megan Sherman's office, and you know when your tests are scheduled, let us know so we can get that on our calendar and make sure that that space is reserved for the student on that day and time that the test is happening. And again, recognizing that that would be extended time if that was the accommodation. And then at least 24 hours before the test, make sure that the test is delivered to the Academic Assistance Center, to Talia or myself or Catie Godbold on the Harnett campus. We lock all of those tests in a file, in a test file that only the coordinators have keys to. So the tests are secure. And when the student comes in, we proctor the test, and then we lock the completed test in the file until the instructor comes to get it, pick it up, or based upon the instructor's request, we sometimes scan the completed test and email to the instructor if they need it faster than they can come to pick it up. Does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Sure, and the key thing is get it on our calendar as soon as you know that the student receives accommodation, so we can make sure the space is available for them.
Okay, thank you.
If I can add real quick, we do actually have a test cover sheet that you can use as well. We prefer if you would use that. That gives us specific instructions as far as how you want the test proctored and you know, what other supplies and things that you'll allow the student to have. So if you want the student to be able to use notes or a calculator, all of that can be documented on the test cover sheet.
So I'm actually on the Lee campus also, Talia. So when we're doing that, you would send that to us as we're sort of setting up the schedule. We would use that form to give you the instructions and the dates and all that.
That's
I
correct.
actually believe Megan Sherman has a specific test cover sheet for accommodated tests.
Okay.
And she would be able to provide that specifically for accommodated tests.
Okay. Well, if I have students that I get that signal from Megan, then I'll make sure I'll follow up and follow whatever the procedures are. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to talk to you a little bit about UPSWING. So at Central Carolina, we are fortunate to be able to offer UPSWING online tutoring services in addition to the peer, near peer, and community tutoring. So the difference here is that UPSWING is an outside agency. We have partnered with them, and they provide free 24/7 access to our curriculum enrolled students. So whereas we are not available, you know, let's say 9 o'clock at night or on weekends, if the hours of operation do not work for a student, then they have access to UPSWING and can actually schedule tutoring whenever it's convenient for them. They can also, depending on the subject and who is scheduled, they may also be able to access just drop-in tutoring. So we actually made it a lot easier for students to access. Previously, they needed to know what their Cougar email address was and create their own password. We no longer ask that they do that. It's now a button, as you see here, that's located on the single sign-on portal page. So all they have to do is click and connect. Essentially, it's very much like what we're engaged in right now. They can type in the subject they're looking for, and it looks almost like a Google search engine as far as the tutors that are available. So they'll be able to read profiles and ratings of the different tutors they can select whichever one they feel that they will work with best. And either if that tutor is available at that moment and they have the time, they can drop in right then and get assistance from the tutor, or they can schedule a later date and time. They'll receive reminders. The reminders go, of course, to their Cougar Mail, since that's what we use when we provide the accounts for the students. And they are also able to offer feedback at the end of the session. So UPSWING does a really good job of keeping an eye on tutors or student progress, how students feel, and basically just being honest overall about the different ratings and stuff. But I can tell you, they have some great tutors. Their tutors include graduate students, people working in the field, and even people who have retired from the various fields. UPSWING also offers, in addition to tutoring for the various subjects, they also offer an online writing center. So that works pretty much the same way that the CCCC online writing center works. Students can submit a paper. They'll just need to fill out the questionnaire. It's a brief questionnaire that asks, what is the assignment? How long is the essay supposed to be? Do they need help with citations? Basically, they just check the different items that they would like one of the UPSWING coaches to to offer feedback on regarding their paper. And then they can log back in and pick up their paper. UPSWING strives for 48 hours, honestly, but they're usually quicker. We've had some students who've received papers within 6 hours. We do ask, though, again, since 48 hours is their standard time, plan accordingly. In other words, if the essay is due on Monday, students might need to go ahead and submit that paper, no later than I'd say Friday. That way they can make, whatever corrections or review any suggestions on that Sunday. But generally 48 hours is pretty much standard, although UPSWING is frequently faster. Does anyone have any questions about UPSWING?
That's an overview of what we do. You may be wondering where to find us. Was there a question? I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask, can we also suggest students for tutoring for that also? Is that something that they can get paid for tutoring? Or is that a different service, the UPSWING?
That's a different service. UPSWING is as a company unto itself. They hire and pay their tutors outside of us. So,
okay.
And I honestly am not sure what their process for hiring is, but I'm sure if you wanted to refer a student to work for UPSWING, that there's probably on their page a work for us kind of tab for information.
If you're interested, I'm more than happy to ask our rep about the process for hiring if you would like to, introduce that opportunity to your students. But don't forget, you can always send them to us too.
Send them to us first.
Okay.
UPSWING, there is definitely a value and a role for UPSWING. Like Talia said, I mean, the important thing is they are available when our peer tutors and our community tutors and CCCC-based tutors are not available after late hours, weekends, and holidays. The advantage for using local tutors first, the peer tutors and the community tutors, they know you, meaning the tutors know the faculty because they've been in your classes, so they know what faculty, they know the syllabus, they know the course, they know the assignments, so they'll be able to kind of start at a faster pace with the students rather than the students having to explain to the UPSWING tutor what the class is about, where they are in the syllabus, what chapter they're on, that sort of thing. So our tutors work really hard, and Talia and Catie and I make such an effort to connect with faculty. So we have copies when we can on file, copies of your syllabi, copies of assignment instructions. So our tutors are familiar enough with the classes that they can really hit the ground running with the tutors who are, with the tutees who are coming in for assistance. And you may be wondering where to find us. I'm going to start with where to physically find us, where we are on the campuses. So Marchant Hall, in the part of the building that says Academic Assistance Center, it's kind of hard to miss coming in one entrance to Marchant Hall. It is literally engraved on the wall where the Academic Assistance Center is in Lee County. Room 126 Murillo Building in Harnett, and then room 202, building 42, room 202 here on the Chatham main campus. And that's where to find us physically. We are here, I will say that. Catie and her staff are in Harnett, writing coaches and lab assistants. Lab assistants are another level of student employment, welcoming people in the door and helping connect students with the tutors they're supposed to meet. So Catie and her writing coaches and her lab assistants are there in Harnett. Talia and her staff, her writing coaches and her lab assistants are there in Lee. And I have a staff here right now, our facilitators, our lab assistants, and our writing coaches. We're here, we're ready to work with faculty, we are ready to work with students. And where can you find us virtually? Let me see if I can do a quick share of that.
While she's looking for that, just want to go ahead and extend the invitation. You are more than welcome to drop by. We are happy to give you a tour of the facilities and introduce you to the staff.
Okay, so hopefully you're seeing the Academic Assistance Center webpage right there. It's pretty easy to find. I'll even back out real fast to show you how easy it is to find. So under the A to Z index, right? We're kind of at the top, Academic Assistance Center. Here is our landing page with information about tutoring. Ask a lab assistant, right? I mentioned that lab assistants are student employees who are physically in this in the Academic Assistance Center to help answer questions and help direct students or faculty or staff who are coming in looking for information. We also have an online version of that with the Ask a Lab Assistant email. Information about Academic Assistance Center tutoring and UPSWING tutoring. There's another link to UPSWING. And then you can also request a tutor. This is how students request a tutor in person or virtually at this point. They simply fill out a form asking for a tutor. And it asks their preference. Do they prefer in person or virtual tutoring at this point? And this tutor request comes to our office, and we take the student schedule and match it with the tutor that covers that material in their schedule. And then at the bottom of the Academic Assistance Center pages are direct links to the STEM Lab and the Writing and Reading Center. I'm not going to link to those right now because they're just big banners across both of them saying that the virtual hours are closed until the start of fall semester. But once classes begin on the 16th, on those pages there will be a way to link immediately, join a Blackboard Collaborate for the virtual writing coaches and the virtual STEM Lab tutors, and also information about requesting one-on-one appointments in person. And the other shameless plug, Talia has already said, send us students to be tutors, refer and encourage students to come receive tutoring. Earlier is better than midway through the semester when tutors are less available because of busy schedules. But also invite us to your class, either physically or virtually. Let STEM tutors, let writing coaches come to your class early in the semester to introduce themselves and encourage students to take advantage of the services we provide. We love dropping into classes. We have our spiel very brief, 4 minutes tops to introduce the tutors and the services, and how to get in touch. And I think it really helps for students not just to read or hear about the services, but to see a person who actually connects with, that they can connect with, that they will look familiar when they're joining a Blackboard session or walking into the Academic Assistance Center. So please, in the first couple of weeks of class, invite us to come introduce ourselves to your students and encourage them to take advantage of the services. And please let us know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Talia and Angela. Let's see. We'll stop.